Hi guys, it's me again. I feel like I haven't updated in a while. I've been kind of busy this weekend. I had a protest this weekend, and that was Millions Against Monsanto. We were fighting for awareness for local farms, substantial farming, and trying to promote the FDA to label stuff genetically modified if it's going to be in a product, because we have a right to know as people. It's been a huge turmoil against FDA. The FDA is pretty crooked. So, my cat's coming in. FDA's been pretty crooked about not informing the public if something's been genetically altered and if it has or not. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by somebody right now. They're really hesitant about putting anything labeled as GMO in products because they know people will avoid a certain product if it's genetically altered. So they've been fighting about labeling products. They don't want to do that. It's bad for business, essentially. So they actually had a protest, and the company that does all the GMOs called Monsanto. So, of course, the protest was called Millions Against Monsanto. It was a peace protest. And I held signs in the streets probably for about 3 hours, and weather is probably down in the teens, so it was really tough. I didn't really dress the part because, truth be told, it was sunny and beautiful, but unfortunately the weather was playing a trick. It was very sunny out, but it was very cold too. And I ended up freezing. I had no gloves or anything. I was just literally a popsicle outside. But I felt like it was worth it. I was fighting the good fight with a whole bunch of locals, and I feel like I did my part, and I hope it goes toward my karma points. Knock on wood. I need some right about now. The rest of my weekend was not great. My family came out. I didn't want them to come out, but they kind of invited themselves over, and they came right before my protest was over, so I had to chirp out a little bit early from the protest. We ended up going out to eat. I ended up having a salad in the restaurant. I got so sick. I was not happy. So, they wanted to walk around IKEA since they don't have an IKEA near them. And we ended up walking around IKEA for about 4 hours. My parents are the type of people that like to, go through everything. They look at every single product. I'm having trouble talking today. I'm flustered for some reason. They like to look at every single product, whether they need it or not. And I'm usually somebody, when I shop, I kind of grab what I need and I go out. I'm not really the type that'll sit there and go through a whole bunch of items and products I don't need. And they're the type of people that would do that. So they kind of drive me crazy. They're a little bit OCD in that sense. And I spent all of Saturday doing that. And Saturday night, I was pretty much up Friday night and Saturday night. I didn't get any sleep. I had a friend Friday. He actually texted me and out of the blue just pretty much sent me like a goodbye note by text. And I guess he was having a lot of trouble. He's letting a house go back to the bank because he pretty much got a house that was, it was basically a terrible house. It's falling apart. And he's been trying to put money in fixing it, and it's just been way overwhelming for him. And he ended up having a manic episode Friday. Went through 2 fists of SoCo. He was trying to drink himself to death, and I know he recently got a handgun. He was talking about that. And Friday and Saturday, I was spent up all night basically crying, thinking this person's not answering their text. When it is, it's basically mumbling jargon. It's not making any sense. And it was really awful. I cried so much. They're talking about blowing their brains out, just not making sense. This person's a father and somebody I really deeply care for as a friend. Love him as a friend. Great guy. He just was going through a lot of stuff that a lot of people are going through in Michigan now. Just heaps of debt. Just, it was awful. There was a lot of going back and forth, texting and trying to call, and just being upset and going through his manic episode. Okay. When I was about, I want to say 15 or 16, I actually had to finally get professional help and found out I was manic depressive, which is the same thing as bipolar. And I started getting anxiety attacks, and I started getting manic episodes myself. A lot of that stuff happens in your teenage years. When you start growing up, your chemicals start altering, and sometimes it can be triggered genetically. It can be triggered by growing up, or it can be triggered by experience. And from mine, it actually was not any certain one. It was actually a combination of three. I have family of mental illness. I have a family of drug addicts. And I have, they have just everything under the sun. Basically, I have a family. It's like Jerry Springer. So you name it, we got it. I started getting anxiety attacks, I believe it was right around middle school. And a lot of that, well, actually, I would say some of it was not so much middle school as it was the end year of elementary school. I started getting signs of it. I was the only person in my school that had red hair, and I used to have kids chase me with sticks and stones, and they used to call me witch because I had red hair. And I had a few run-ins with adults that weren't very good at that age. Some obscene comments from adults at that age about my red hair. And I think that was kind of the beginning of anxiety. I started becoming aware of what people weren't all good. People were, what's the right word? Not everybody is going to be a good person. And by middle school, I actually had a kid try to kill me with a box cutter. And that was an next door neighbor. It's kind of a long story, kinda. But basically, I was at a bus stop, and this kid was in and out of juvie. And I used to play with his younger brother, and he was probably a good 5 years older than I was. And in middle school, it was fall, so he just started school. And he actually came out because his brother used to stand at the bus stop with us. And I had this puffy purple coat. It was a puffy purple coat that had a hot pink. And I just got that coat, I remember. And I remember this kid telling everybody, "Do you want to see something really cool?" And all the other kids were like, "Yeah, okay." And there was basically maybe about 4 or 5 other kids. We were kind of scared of him because this kid was kind of a bully. And I have this kid, I was standing kind of diagonal. He was like behind me, and I was right here. And he actually